Get us. Good. Hi, everybody who potentially watches this, because we only have one audience member today, Mr. Fontana. Thanks for coming, Fred. I want to call to order our special meeting for the town of North Topsail Beach. Today is Wednesday, the 19th, and we're going to go ahead and get started by me requesting an approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're going to move right into the new business, which is bid results. We had an invitation for bids for the Shoreline Dune Truck Haul Project, PTC 8, and we're going to be hearing from Manager Darian and Franway.
There's nothing on the screen. Oh, so the town hadn't paid its electric bill.
There we go, there's everybody. So Alice, did you want to start, or?
Sure.
Okay.
Just to recap, I provided the Board of Aldermen a copy of this recap just to refresh everyone's memory on how we got to where we are now to this point. The town issued a second invitation for bids with the bids that were due on March 14th, 2025 at 2:00 p.m. Bids were accepted and opened here at Town Hall on that day. One bid has been received and has been reviewed by ATM and North Carolina engineers. The sole bid was submitted by ST Wooten in the amount of $2,937,000. The breakdown of that cost is mobilization and demobilization of $50,000. Hull and placement of dune fill, $47 per cubic yard, which totals $2,867,000. That's for an estimated quantity of 61,000 cubic yards of sand. Performance and payment bonds of $20,000. So again, that totals the bid cost of $2,937,000. The draft contract has been prepared and has been provided to our attorneys for review yesterday. The contract dictates that the work will be substantially completed on or before January 31st, 2026. At the Board of Aldermen meeting on March 5th, 2025, the board approved budget amendments 2025-25.19 and 2025-20.20 to make funds available to proceed with the PTC8 project as outlined. These amendments totaled $2,974,942, transferring funds from Fund 30 Shoreline Protection Fund to Fund 32 for the grant project FEMA 4837 North Carolina PTC 8 project. So as you'll see with the amounts that came in for the bids, we have adequate amounts of funds that have been transferred. We have submitted this project to FEMA for reimbursement under the declared event for PTC 8. To date, we've met weekly with FEMA and state representatives to answer questions as it moves through their process. To date, funds have not been obligated by FEMA at this point. During yesterday's meeting, it was brought up again by the beach representatives, cautioning us that they sometimes do not approve emergency burn projects that are in a COBRA zone, which this is. Projects were approved in the past for Florence and Dorian. However, they have cautioned that there is a possibility of it not being approved or funds obligated. This project consists of placing approximately 61,000 cubic yards of beach-compatible material along 21,500 feet of dunes, mainly in phases, again, 1 through 3. Should the board approve the contract, to award the contract with ST Wooten, ST Wooten has advised that the work in Phase 4 will not be finished this season. So they will have to reallocate their resources. Fran and I talked this morning, and Phase 4 has about 5,000 feet of beach remaining. They are currently working at 4306 Island Drive. It's anticipated they will make it another 2,000 feet, which carries us to 4472 Island Drive, which is just south of Hampton Colony, before they would begin work on PTC8 dune restoration projects in phases 1 through 3, should the board approve the contract. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of that, just because I know there's a lot of people have been trying to plan, homeowners trying to do what they need to do to to protect their properties before the season is upon us. And there's been discussions back and forth. At the last board meeting, I mentioned that it did not look like that the contractor, should they be the successful bidder, be able to accomplish all that work. So this is just verifying that.
So I do have a couple questions for Fran, and then I'm going to open it up to the board if I don't already ask what's in your mind. First of all, I want to appreciate the fact that you have been telling us that while we've submitted for reimbursement of these funds, that there was a very good chance that we were not going to get them. Just, I think, with the state of where we are with our federal government right now, and so I'm not surprised about that, but thank you for all the work, and please continue till they say no. So, I have just a couple questions. So, if this gets approved today, when would they start this project?
Fran, do you have a estimated start time once they're given the notice to proceed? How many days?
From a planning standpoint, we were thinking the first week of April.
Okay. And then they're already at the Jeffries lot, so is the mobilization cost to move them down towards like Pinellas and Volusia, whatever that's called? I forget what that is called. The mobilization, are we moving further down the beach?
We're moving up to the Jenkins Way access.
That's the one, I couldn't remember that, okay. I couldn't remember the name of Jenkins, thank you.
And that costs $50,000.
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering, is it that expensive to move it down? I mean, 50,000 is a lot.
It's actually $20,000. It shouldn't be.
They're actually going to rent 2 more offshore, the all-wheel drive off-road trucks.
Okay,
So they would have 5 trucks working. Right now they have 3. So I think that's the primary one.
okay, well then if they're
Those are-
renting
those are
additional beach trucks, if they're renting additional trucks, is it possible to keep both projects moving?
They said they pretty much have one, the transfer at the beach. They have one team, and I possibly, for any work south of the pier, there's a chance, but I really do, the dune system, north of the pier is the one that it is in the worst shape.
Yeah, I understand.
And we were hoping that they would start on that at this time.
Okay,
They pretty much said they can't do that, but we can ask again.
okay, and then this is a general question. So there are some homes, as you know, further north in these 1 through 3 phases that have sandbags in front of them. What do they do in that case? Do they skip them, or do they put it in front of the sandbags? Because I don't think we can cover them.
Right, that will be, and we're basically starting just south of the Topsail Reef condos because of the sandbags, and that area kind of juts out into the beach a little farther. We will have to coordinate with DCM. The idea is to put the material in front of those bags.
Okay. Because I know in Porpoise Place that they had gotten, some of those homeowners have gotten in Dolphin Shores have gotten approval to put sandbags in. So my question was, I guess we'll potentially be in front of them.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Those were my questions. So what did I miss?
A couple of things. Fran, just real quick, I know you said that they can't do them both. Is that assuming no extensions in terms of the due date? For example, if they get out there, and you've said in the past, sometimes we get an extension because they don't want you back out there again to clean something up. Is that assuming no extensions on this thing?
Well, so, and that's an interesting question. Basically, the FEMA project, there's a Fish and Wildlife Service has a biological opinion that allows them to work into May. The state grant is based on a state programmatic biological opinion that has no mechanism to work into turtle nesting and hatching season. So the phase 4 project, we cannot get an extension into May. For the dune project for the northern shoreline, around the, north and south of the pier, we should be able to get, it's almost, guaranteed that, it's not guaranteed, but there's a really good chance that we're gonna get, a 2 to 3 week extension into May with all the turtle monitoring and everything that has to go along with that, though, of course.
Okay, so logistically, and I don't know, look, you're the expert on this. So if we said, let's go ahead and finish 4, and then they started up, and they got the extension, does that fit?
That'd be really tight. It looks like the dune project itself is maybe about five weeks or so, 5, maybe 6 weeks. So it is tough. If they start in April, they would go, into May. And so then, the next, 2 weeks or so, the end of finishing out March, that is where we're assuming that they're going to continue working on in phase 4.
And we would not be able to restart either of these until November of next year, correct?
Correct.
So, because I know that everybody knows this, the Hampton Colony people are the ones that are the most upset about not getting the sand. They've come to every meeting because that was the whole extension piece.
I don't think it was Hampton Colony, it was the next one,
I meant
Ocean
that
View
area.
Lane.
Right.
But they've already been told that we cannot guarantee that we would get to Ocean View Lane, so I believe that HOA has started whatever it is they want to do on their own. Is that correct, Ms. Daring?
I believe at the last meeting, they said that based on the information that they had to that point, that they were going to wait.
Yeah, it's not, but it wasn't, it's not Hampton
But
Colony.
I guess my point though is, on that is, and, I don't even, I'm still absorbing this, but the reality in that is, if we're now gonna tell those people in 4 that we're stopping their project because we've got another project in a different area, that's the message. I mean, whether we agree with it or not, that's, I think, is the message, right?
But
We
I
want you
think-
to stop your project, okay, because somebody else needs it more. That's the message.
Yeah, the difference being infrastructure versus
No, I'm
beach
just-
sand.
just wanna
But
make sure I understand
I
the
just want to be clear that from my understanding, the questions that I've seen come in, and unless I've missed them, they haven't been from Hampton Colony is my point. They've been from the next
Next one up.
Right.
next one over,
So-
and they have been
And then
notified.
just one final, and then I'll stop on this. You said north of the pier, I'm in 3, so anything south of the pier is me, but putting that aside, if you finished 4 and started north of the pier, can they get the stuff north of the pier done? In other words, block that out, right? That's not the key one.
Fran's not staging their project.
Yes. But I will,
Yes, what?
I will, coordinate with the contractor, but yes, that is kind of what we anticipate.
So in theory, you could finish 4 and then just start north of the pier and be able to get this project done? Can you check on that? I mean, to me, that's the best option to me.
Well, but the thing is, Rick, I don't personally know. I know the damage that's visible from, say, Bay Court up past the condos. I don't know the dune damage south of the pier.
I do.
So
I
I
walk
don't,
it every day.
I don't know who we're putting in, or what, do we have infrastructure in jeopardy down that way? Or there dune breaches? I haven't noticed any breaches that way, but.
I didn't see any breaches there. I know the guy that's right across from us, Finley's house, has done a huge push in front of his house. I mean, it's steep there. They're gonna have to rebuild them, but I don't know. We'd have to look. I'm just saying that if there's a way to, kill both of the, get parts
Two
of
birds
both of
with
them
one
done.
stone, yeah.
Right. So I'm done.
Okay, Laura?
Go ahead.
So for legal, looking at the contract, and Manager Darian, you may be able to answer this. Do we have any liquidated damages for non-performance in this contract?
Those are included in every contract,
Okay.
yes.
And then
It's
also,
Section 5, Article 5, Section 5.03.
do we have a not to exceed price so that they don't come back to us with change orders?
I do not believe so, but we're still looking at the contract. And so if I'm wrong, I'll send out an email to clarify. But when I looked at it, I don't believe so.
There is no not to
No.
exceed. No, I drafted it up, and Trey's looking at Trey and Chip. We're looking at it. Basically, if something comes up, if there's a crazy increase in fuel like there happened, 5 years ago, they will submit a change order, and then the board will have to entertain that change order. That's kind of the way the contract's written. And just like last year when CN Mitchell kind of came in front of the board and asked for a change order that we all thought was unexpected and unrealistic, we denied it. So there is nothing that says they cannot submit a change order though, but obviously it has to be
Approved.
accepted by the board.
So the language may not be there, but the process is.
And just to clarify, I mean, there is a lump sum amount for the contract. So this is it's not an open-ended, contract. It's a unit price work contract. So you still have that. And as Fran said, you have a change order process that would come before the board essentially for a contract amendment. But there's nothing in there that says a max not to exceed for including change orders.
Okay. All right, I'm going to move on to Mayor Pro Tem. I think you had questions.
Yeah, just a couple. So if we do this, we can't finish phase 4. And I haven't heard exactly the reason why. I presume it's because they just don't have, it's a logistical issue. They don't have the material, they don't have the manpower, they don't have the trucks, they don't have the bulldozers and all the heavy equipment to do it. Is that correct, Fran?
Yes.
Okay, that was my question. Now my comment goes back to what Alderman Grant had to say. I don't like the optics of this. I don't like the optics of saying we're going to stop this to start that. And I wish, and I know that's not what, not really good, but I wish there was a way that we could somehow get all of it done.
Yeah.
We have an obligation to everybody, and I'm reminded of that commercial with the guy with the fishing rod. Well, you almost got it, okay? We've had people come in here every meeting and ask where we are with relative to their community, and now we're getting almost to their community and we're shifting gears. And I wish there was a way that we could somehow figure out to get this whole darn thing done this season. And that is not to detract from where this project is going to put sand, because it's extremely important there too, but it's all important.
So I think I think I can speak for the entire board when I say we echo that comment. If we could do all of it, that would certainly be what we would want to do. But I believe what we need to do is make a decision, but I'm wondering with that decision if we could also request some additional thought go into, is there a way to continue to do both? But
Options.
yeah,
You want options.
yeah. But at this point, I think what's presented to us is we have to stop and start. Yes, sir. Mike, did you have questions too?
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Fran, ST Wooten is a huge company. They have a fleet of trucks that say ST Wooten on the driver's doors, and passengers' doors. Yet every truck in this truck haul project's been a subcontractor that they've hired out to haul the sand from the mine. I'm assuming the mine has enough sand, Wooten has enough sand at the mine already stockpiled for the project. It's just a matter of getting it here. And the traffic on 17 is crazy. So the trucks are getting slowed down, making round trips through Hampstead, particularly on 17 South, as anybody knows that's driven that road to Wilmington anytime during the working hours of the day. So my question is, why can't Wooten hire additional subcontractor trucks to get the capacity they need? Because most of the time that I go by the transfer point here at the Jeffries lot, the excavator's sitting there waiting on a truck to dump sand, and the off-road truck's sitting there waiting to get loaded because they're not getting enough sand at the transfer point. Are they meeting the expected cubic yards per day that you projected when the project first started? I don't know if it was 20,000 a day or whatever it was. Can you comment on that?
Yes, it's both of these, this contractor and the previous contractor, we even, a year or 2 years ago, we said, they basically have maxed out with their operations, the way their logistics are working, about 60 to 70,000 cubic yards a month. And that's kind of where they've maxed out. We were actually hoping when the phase 5 work was on, and then we had the phase 4 work come on, as you may remember, in our grant application, we did increase that rate, thinking that these truck haulers could do that. And both of the outfits that we have used and that have been successful could not really get the way they have their setup. It's not scalable, apparently, and they pretty much, that's always been their story.
Well, I support what my fellow aldermen have said. It's a shame that we can't finish 4 and start on the north part of the Dune project, because from what I've observed, that's the worst area, and we need to protect that area for this coming hurricane season to get that dune restored. So from the surveys where the worst areas are from your survey work. But I really would hope we could finish 4 and do the north part of the worst part of the dune restoration with the May extension.
Fran, what is your professional opinion as the engineer on what the proposed work plan should be, whether it be finishing phase 4 based on the current conditions or pivoting to the PTC 8 work, excuse me?
Right.
I would like to see it. Connie, did you have questions?
I don't have a question.
Okay. Are you guys good on that side of the table with questions? Okay. Okay. Rick, do you have questions?
Just one question I was asking Alice. If you remember in phase 4, we had to ask for extensions to get that grant money. If we kick phase 4 to next year, do we have to now get another extension for phase 4?
Well, phase 4 was already not going to be fully completed this year because we still have that other development, Ocean Village. I think that's what it's called, Ocean Sound Village, I think it's called. So that was already going to be next year.
But in that Alderman Grant, that extension is for December 18, 2025, so we should be able to do it.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Any additional questions? Okay. So I am going to request a motion to award a contract for the Northern Shoreline Dune Project Hall. I'd like to do the motion, the second, and then if there's any discussion, I'd like to do it that way. We follow procedure.
I'll make the motion to award the contract for the Northern Shoreline Dune Truck Hall Project
Do we have a second?
PTC 8.
Thank you, Connie. Do we have a
Second.
Okay. Discussion.
My view on this is if he can pull it off, I'm for going ahead with this. I would like to finish 4 and then work north of the pier to get as much as we can done. In particular, ask our engineer on the stuff north of the pier, if there's a more critical area, get the most critical areas done first. But that would be I think we have to go ahead with the contract, but I would really like to be able to finish 4 first.
Additional discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to see you go back to Wooten and see what you can get them to do to try to get all of this done, all of it done, which is kind of what Alderman Grant just said a different way.
Yep.
Okay, there's like Alderman Benson said, they're a huge company. Okay, they got the trucks, they've got the equipment and the logistic capability. I'd like to see it all done. I know that's a tall order. I understand that, but let's go back and ask.
So I believe what I'm hearing, just to summarize, and then we'll continue to go around, is, as Alderman Grant said, make the motion to approve, but then I think we need to add direction to Fran to it, staff direction. Would that be appropriate?
Ask Trey how to do it.
That's what I'm,
I don't think that's necessary, but I'm not the,
I still would like it to be official.
okay.
Trey, what would, if that is what we're considering, is that an appropriate motion, or is it just to approve?
I think that is an appropriate motion, given the discussion that you can. You could also reframe the motion to award the contract on the contingency that they're able to do that. But I believe the way you phrase it also is appropriate. You can do that.
Okay. And Connie, did you have comments?
Yes, I would actually like them to, it's, what we have here is if we approve it as we have it here, they'll put another 2,000 feet in phase 4. That leaves 3,000 feet, about a half mile. But I really feel that phases 1 through 3, they're the ones in immediate jeopardy, specifically north of Barton Bay. And then you have, there's other places, it's not limited to there, but those are the ones where we have infrastructure, buildings, everything in immediate jeopardy, where the phase 4, we are expecting some accretion of sand, and it's in that half mile versus that 5 miles of 1 through 3. I would like to do both, but if it came down to doing one or the other at this time, I am more in favor of doing the phases 1 through 3 first. Get those done, and then go back. I'm very intimately aware of what goes on. I walk up and down that beach, all sections of it, all the time. And I can tell you that phases 1 through 3 are, especially down in the condos area, it's in such dire condition that I really feel that has to be a priority.
Okay, and Alderman Olszewski.
Can I ask Manager Darian and Fran, was ST Wooten invited to this meeting?
They're not invited, but they're aware that the board would be considering them at this time. It's usually not common for the contractors to show up at the meetings.
Thanks.
Can I just add one thing on this? I think what I'm hearing from the board is we would like to approve the contract, and we would direct our engineer Fran to come up with what is the best engineering critical decision to make to execute this contract and get it done. Because look, as much as I'd like to finish 4, if he comes back to Connie's point and says, you've got to fix this area or we're gonna have a real problem, you've got a real safety issue, then I'm probably okay with it.
Well, I believe he has said that.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, you didn't call him Mike.
Yes, sir.
I think that the feelings have been pretty well expressed to Fran. Hopefully they can finish 4, but as you work with them, it's imperative, as Connie said, to get that section of the dune repaired up on the north end where it's almost completely gone.
So we have a motion and we have a second for the current motion. Does anybody want to modify that with the new motion giving direction to Fran, or just continue?
I think he's got the direction.
Okay, well then I have a motion and I have a second. Ms. Darian, would you call roll so we have it all?
Can you state what the motion is?
I can. The mayor is requesting a motion to award a contract for the Northern Shoreline Dune Truck Haul Project, PTC 8. We have a first and we have a second on that motion, so I just want to go around.
Alderman Plettle?
Aye.
Alderman Benson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Leonard?
Aye.
Alderman Olszewski?
Aye.
Alderman Grant?
Aye.
Okay,
Okay.
and then, so I am going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.